Welcome back to MegaStruction. Next year is shaping up to be one of the most consequential moments for American infrastructure in decades. Across the country, mega projects that have consumed billions of dollars, survived political battles, and pushed engineering to its limits are finally reaching the finish line. These are not small upgrades or routine repairs. They are transformative systems, bridges, rail lines, power networks, and urban overhauls that will change how millions of Americans move, work, and live. Some of these projects are already familiar names, debated for years in public meetings and headlines. Others have progressed quietly in the background, their scale hidden behind construction fences and technical reports. Together, they represent a shift in how the United States builds, bigger, smarter, cleaner, and designed for a future that has already arrived. As these projects come online next year, they will begin reshaping the nation's landscape in ways that will be felt for generations. For decades, the Brent Spence Bridge has been one of the most notorious traffic bottlenecks in the United States. Carrying Interstate 75 across the Ohio River between Cincinnati and northern Kentucky, the bridge was built in the early 1960s for a level of traffic that no longer exists. What was once adequate infrastructure slowly turned into a daily choke point for commuters and a major constraint on one of the nation's most important freight corridors. This is where Project Number 9 comes in. The Brent Spence Bridge Corridor project tackles the problem at its core by adding a new companion bridge, rebuilding outdated interchanges, and redesigning traffic patterns to separate local traffic from long-distance freight. Once completed next year, the corridor will dramatically reduce congestion, improve safety, and strengthen a supply chain that moves billions of dollars in goods between the Midwest and the Southeast every single year. Before we continue with the video and my further explanation about 10 United States megaprojects, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's continue. For project number 8, the focus shifts underground, deep beneath the streets of New York City. The 2nd Avenue subway has been one of the longest-running infrastructure sagas in American history. First proposed nearly a century ago, the line was meant to relieve crushing overcrowding on the Lexington Avenue line, which still carries more riders than any other subway corridor in the country. After decades of false starts, Phase 1 finally opened in 2017, but it only scratched the surface of what the project was meant to be. Phase 2 extends the 2nd Avenue subway north into East Harlem, bringing long overdue rapid transit to neighborhoods that have relied almost entirely on buses for generations. New tunnels, modern stations, and advanced signaling systems are now nearing completion. When this phase opens next year, it will reduce commute times, ease congestion across the entire subway system, and unlock new housing and economic opportunities in one of the most transit-starved parts of Manhattan. Project number 7 takes us to the West Coast, where one of the most complex rail projects in the country is finally coming together beneath downtown San Francisco. The downtown rail extension has one clear goal: bring regional and future high-speed trains directly into the heart of the city. For years, Caltrain has stopped miles short of downtown, forcing passengers to transfer to buses or light rail to reach the city's core. That gap limited ridership and undercut the full potential of Northern California's rail network. The extension pushes rail service underground and into the Salesforce Transit Center, a massive multimodal hub already built above the future tracks. Crews have been tunneling beneath dense urban development, active rail yards, and existing infrastructure, all while working below sea level in challenging soil conditions. When the project reaches completion next year, it will fundamentally change Bay Area commuting, creating a seamless connection between regional rail, future high-speed rail, and the economic center of San Francisco. Project number 6 moves offshore, where some of the most important infrastructure being built isn't visible from land at all. Along the northeast coast, offshore wind farms are nearing completion, but the real backbone of these projects lies beneath the ocean. Massive subsea transmission cables are being laid to carry renewable energy from turbines in federal waters back to the mainland. These cables connect into upgraded onshore substations and regional power grids designed to handle entirely new flows of electricity. This transmission network is what allows projects like the Hudson River Wind Project to actually deliver power at scale. When these systems come online next year, they will supply clean electricity to millions of homes, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and mark a major turning point in how the United States builds and distributes energy infrastructure. Project number 5 brings us to Texas, where the groundwork is being laid for what could become the most important rail project in the state's history. Texas Central is not just proposing high-speed rail, it is actively building the foundation for it. While full passenger service is still ahead, major preparatory works are scheduled to be completed next year, including station construction, right-of-way development, and system integration planning between Dallas and Houston. This phase is critical because without it, true high-speed rail in Texas remains theoretical. What makes the Texas Central project unique is its reliance on proven Japanese Shinkansen technology, adapted for American regulations and geography. These early construction milestones signal that the project has moved beyond planning and into real physical execution. Once complete, this groundwork will set the stage for trains capable of traveling over 200 miles per hour, reshaping travel across the Texas Triangle and challenging the dominance of short-haul flights and congested highways. Project number 4 focuses on a river that quietly powers a huge portion of the American economy. The Mississippi River Deepening Project is re-engineering the lower stretch of the river to allow larger, fully loaded cargo ships to reach inland ports year-round. For decades, sediment buildup limited how deep vessels could safely travel, forcing ships to reduce cargo or wait for favorable conditions. That inefficiency rippled through agriculture, manufacturing, and global trade. By deepening and stabilizing key navigation channels near the Gulf of Mexico, the project allows modern ships to move more goods in a single trip. When this work is completed next year, it will lower shipping costs, strengthen U.S. exports, and reinforce the Mississippi River's role as the backbone of America's inland transportation network. Project number 3 takes us to Los Angeles, where one of the most ambitious airport overhauls in the world is finally reaching the finish line. For decades, access to LAX has been synonymous with gridlock. Millions of passengers funneled into a road system that was never designed for modern traffic volumes. The LAX Landside Access Modernization Program changes that equation entirely. The project introduces an automated people mover, new consolidated rental car facilities, and dedicated transit connections that separate airport traffic from city streets. When the system comes online next year, passengers will be able to reach terminals without ever stepping into a private car. It's a fundamental shift in how Americans experience major airports, and a model other cities are already racing to copy. Project number 2 is one most travelers will never see, but almost everyone on the East Coast depends on. The Northeast Corridor is the busiest passenger rail route in the United States, stretching from Boston to Washington, D.C. While the trains themselves look modern, much of the system that powers them is not. In some places, the electrical and signaling infrastructure dates back more than a century, creating chronic delays, slowdowns, and system-wide failures when anything goes wrong. This modernization effort replaces aging power systems, substations, overhead wires, and signal equipment along the corridor, allowing trains to run faster, more frequently, and far more reliably. When these upgrades are completed, next year they will unlock the full potential of Amtrak and commuter rail service across the Northeast, improving daily travel for millions of riders and strengthening the most economically important rail corridor in the country. Project number 1 brings us to one of the most iconic pieces of infrastructure in the United States, and one of the most critical to the future of the American Southwest. The Hoover Dam has been generating power for nearly a century, but much of its internal electrical equipment dates back to the mid-20th century. While the concrete structure itself remains incredibly strong, the generators, turbines, and control systems that turn water into electricity have been steadily aging. In a region facing growing demand and increasing climate stress, that aging infrastructure is no longer enough. The Hoover Dam Electrical Modernization Project replaces original generators, control systems, and power delivery equipment with modern, high-efficiency technology. Once completed next year, the dam will be able to produce power more reliably, respond faster to changes in demand, and continue supplying electricity to millions of people across Nevada, Arizona, and California. It's not about building something new, but about extending the life of one of America's greatest engineering achievements, and making sure it can keep working for decades to come. As these projects reach completion next year, they mark more than the end of construction timelines. They signal a shift in how the United States is preparing for the future. From modernized rail corridors and cleaner energy systems to re-engineered rivers and reimagined airports, Each project addresses a problem that has been building for decades. Together, they show a country investing not just in growth, but in resilience, efficiency, and long-term stability. What ties all of them together is impact. These are projects that millions of people will rely on every day, often without realizing the scale of engineering beneath their feet or beyond the horizon. As next year unfolds, these mega projects will quietly begin doing what they were designed to do: keep the country moving, powered, and connected, better than before. Before we continue with the video and my further explanation about 10 United States mega projects, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the month, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's continue. And that's just the beginning. These projects finishing next year are setting the stage for an even larger wave of transformation still to come. As infrastructure investment accelerates, the lines between transportation, energy, and urban life are starting to blur, creating systems that are faster, cleaner, and more resilient than anything built before. The real impact won't be measured on opening day, but in how these projects shape daily life over the next several decades. If you want to keep exploring the engineering, planning, and ambition behind the world's biggest infrastructure projects, you're in the right place. This is MegaStruction, and there's a lot more coming.